Hola.
All right. You ready, JP? Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the live after the premiere Q&A, Return to Zero Q&A. We are here to answer all of your questions. We've already gotten a ton of them, and we're going to try to move through them and get to, if not all, most of them in the next 45 minutes. And what we're going to do is I want to introduce. We've got people that you know. We've got my wife, Kiley Hanish, is here with us. We're on separate computers because we have to have headphones for this, not because we're like angry with each other. We actually have had a wonderful weekend sharing our story with everyone. Also have my producing partner and right-hand man on this, Paul Jaconi-Biery, who is with us. There are a lot of questions I know that are out there regarding when can people see the film, how can they see the film, that are excited to spread the word. So Paul's here to answer that and more. I just want to confirm with our technical advisor, Jonathan. Can you just type something, JP, if we're good? Just want to make sure we're rolling and we're good, and we are good. Okay, super. Well, I'm going to get on. I've just printed a bunch of questions. I actually want to start with the one that's the most asked question, and that is, obviously we had the world premiere of Return to Zero last night in North America. Both the USA and Canada got to see the film for the first time. It was actually replayed on Canadian TV this evening, and then it's late or early Monday morning in the UK and Ireland, but they also got their first look at the film when it premiered in the UK and Ireland about 7 hours ago. So it's been really exciting to be able, in 24 hours, to have this film seen by be able to be seen by most people in North America, UK, and Ireland. And hats off to Lifetime and A&E networks for this amazing release. On Tuesday, we are going to be having our Southeast Asia premiere happens. That's in 8 or 9 countries in Southeast Asia. So if you are there or have friends there that you think would like to see the film, please let them know. It's going to be on Lifetime there, Lifetime Southeast Asia. But again, to the first question, which is, when is it going to be in Australia? Because we get that question on every thread and have for the last month, rightfully so. We've got a lot of supporters down there, a lot of people who've helped with the film. So I just want to go to you, Paul, and have you help answer that first question of when can people in Australia see the film?
Well, thank you for having me, and this is a great opportunity for us to sort of chat about a couple things regarding the film. And thank you to everyone in Australia. We know that we have an incredibly energized, vocal, and excited group of folks in Australia who really, really want to see the film, which is incredibly, we're honored, and we want to make sure that they get taken care of as quickly as they can. The reality of the situation is we are doing everything we can to get the film everywhere it can be seen, to be seen as quickly as possible. So I don't know when we're going to have an Australian premiere, when we're going to have the information for that. We are staying on top of our partners at Lifetime and on top of their partners throughout the world to let us know when they have some information about when it's going to be screening on whatever station it winds up screening on for Australia. So please know that we are doing everything we can to get it out there as quickly as we can, and we absolutely value your support in the film. So it's very, very, very important to make sure you guys know that, and that we're doing everything we possibly can. And we will keep you absolutely updated.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Yeah, it's an interesting situation because when we've been negotiating, when we negotiated our distribution deal, our number one priority was to get the film out to as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. So because there is no Lifetime in Australia, they're working to get it to a TV distributor there. And we're also, we're going to have the DVD for sale here. It ships on June 17th. So you can find that link on our website, which is returntozerothemovie.com. But I know everybody's really, really anxious to see the film. So we'll keep you updated. and we will. In fact, I will contact the folks at Lifetime A&E Networks tomorrow and see when we can expect an answer there. But not only for Australia, for Germany, for France, for Spain, for Italy, for everyone who's been asking and has been patient. I know it's tough. I know everybody wants to see the movie. Paul, I'm sorry, did you have something else to say?
No, if I could just jump in, one of the biggest things you can do to help the film and help it be seen where you'd like to see it is to actually visit the Lifetime Facebook page and ask them to help get it seen in your country. It's very, very important that we go about this in a really smart, really level-headed, really above-board approach, where the fans in a particular country, Australia, Germany, wherever, Lifetime will listen. They are very, very, very attuned to their audience, and they know that if there is a big demand for the film someplace, that they need to make it happen. So they're amazing partners for the film. I can't say enough good things about the bravery that they've shown in taking this film out throughout the world. We just ask for your patience and your help in spreading the word, and go to the Lifetime Facebook page. Ask when it will be shown in Germany, and they will respond. I promise you that.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Paul. Okay. Well, I'm going to get. I think that covers. Hopefully, that answers folks' questions of when and where. As far as the re-airing in the States and Canada, the UK, Ireland, again, it really helps if you go to their Facebook page or send a message to their Twitter account saying that there's a huge audience that is still out there to see the replay of this film. Hopefully we could get that aired in the next week or two, but it's going to take you guys out there letting them know and making some noise and letting them know that they're amazing for having distributed this film, but also that everybody wants to see it again. That's really, really important. Obviously, the whole point of this has been to break the silence. And now I know that millions of people have seen the film in the last 24 hours, and so we need you to be our advocates and get out there and tell people about it, because we don't want just a few million people to see this. We want tens of millions of people to see this film quickly so that we can really change things. So I'm going to go to questions here. There's so many good questions, and I'm going to start with let's go to Kiley. Hi, honey. Hey, here's a good one. I'm just going to start with something that this is from Kelsey Shiflett. She asks, what helped you most when you found out you were pregnant with your rainbow child? She says she had the hardest time feeling happy on the inside and felt like she had to put up a front. So I think that's a really great question for you.
Well, I think that my experience was similar. I was very scared, and I probably didn't do anything right. I didn't want to get attached to my baby because I thought that the possibility of losing that baby was quite high. Because if it happened once, it can definitely happen again. So I don't think I did it very gracefully. I just I did the best I could, and to get through each day. And dealing with people in public was very hard because they always ask the question, "Oh, is this your first baby?" Or "How many children do you have?" And most people don't deserve to hear the answer because I don't know them, and it doesn't really matter. But it's hard, and I had to put on a face and act like I was excited as much as I could to the people that I didn't know, and then the real people I think understood a little bit of what I was going through. So.
Thanks, honey. I know some of these questions are really personal. If you don't want to answer some too, you can just say like, "Don't ask me that," because it's just me. So let's see. Dovetail. Well, actually, I'm not dovetailing because I have just a load of questions, so I'm just going to ask them, and they're going to be totally like no segues here.
Okay.
And this is also for you and me, Kai. This is from Cindy Dockenhausen, and she asks, "Did they really bring in a box to take your baby away?" I have to say I saw that part and gasped. She had a good treatment with her child. But I guess a lot of people have asked that question, not just Cindy. Do you want to speak to that?
Sure. Yes, they really did bring in a cardboard box and unwrapped Norbert and took off his hat and took off his blanket and put him in there in front of us. And I think when you're in such shock, you don't know what to do at the moment because you can't believe that you actually are where you are. But it's horrific and it's unacceptable. Afterwards, we wrote a letter to the hospital and told them our experience. I don't know if things have changed there at that hospital, but I know I'm going to put it in my plug. I was in this chat group today talking about the Moses baskets, and I was working with the OC Walk to Remember to collect Moses baskets to deliver to hospitals so that parents could have a place to lay their baby, take pictures of the baby, and a way to transport the babies out of the room and to wherever the babies were going after that point, to the mortuary or something. Because I've also heard other stories, babies being transported in plastic bags and other horrible things. So I think that, some people wrote, that there's something called the U.S., I'm looking at my notes, the U.S. Cuddle Cot Campaign Initiative. I have not looked it up. There's something called the Hygienia Foundation. But I think really right now is we're bringing this issue into awareness, and one of the big things is educating the healthcare professionals and how we can do that. And I know everyone has their own, this is probably getting beyond the question, but is that okay, Sean?
Yeah. Oh, are you kidding me? This is the reason for this. Go.
Okay. So I think the thing is there's a lot of different pockets and groups doing really great things, but I think right now the most important thing is, one, we're bringing the issue of stillbirth into awareness. And number two, we need better care for families. So how can we connect with each other and help each other out? And maybe everyone's doing things locally on a local level, which I think is, probably the great way to go, because you have your contacts there and you know how to reach the people where you live. But we can really learn from what other people are doing and take that and bring it to where we are in our own cities. I can't be out there collecting Moses baskets and donating Moses baskets to every hospital in the United States. It's just not possible. But I really think that support for families and education for healthcare professionals is really one of the top things that I want to see out of this movie and awareness coming to it. Thank you.
That's great, honey. I mean, there's like you said, there's so many pockets where people can help, and we're just, again, we're just beginning this journey. It's really exciting. Okay, just to continue on the questions, we'll come back and we'll weave in and out of from the sublime to the ridiculous here. But Paul, here's one for you. And this is great because you were on the outside a bit looking in. That's not really true. You were in the middle of it, frankly. But as far as I'm just going to read the question. This is from Laura McCannell in Toronto. She was curious after reading one of my responses whether there were other scenes cut due to the reaction of audiences. And this is in reference to the fact that we had filmed the scene of baby Arthur being put into that cardboard box that the nurse carries in. And Paul, maybe this is a good jumping off point. Can you talk about the reaction that audiences had to that and why we actually took it out of the film?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's an interesting process that you go through in making a film, right? Because you write a script, and that's one version of the film that you've made. And you shoot the movie, and that's another version of the film that you've made. And then you edit the movie, and that's the movie. And that scene on the page when baby Arthur gets put in the box is absolutely devastating, and it's written in such a way that we see it. And we shot it, and shooting it, it's absolutely devastating, and we see it. And then an interesting thing happened when we put it together, cut it all together, and showed it to people. It did a really weird thing where it pulled everyone out of the movie. And I think it speaks to people's reaction to the fact that this actually happened, that it's so ghoulish and horrific, and oh my God, I can't believe they did that, that when you actually see it in the film, you don't believe it. And it sort of takes you out of the movie. Whereas when you see them watch it happen, and then Minnie talks about it afterward, that is so much more powerful. And it's like so many things in film, right? It's you imagining it is so much worse than you actually seeing it. So it's an interesting process when you're in the editing room. You're slowly shaping this amazing raw material into like the most, the best version of itself that it can be, right? So there's lots of stuff that winds up on the cutting room floor because it's more powerful when you do it a certain way. So that's an example. The first 15 minutes of the movie there's probably 30 minutes worth of material that didn't make it into the film, because at the end of the day you're trying to be emotionally true, emotionally honest, and tell the most powerful version of the story possible. So that's where it came from. I mean, it's an interesting example of less is more, and that emotional truth can be told in a way, when it's off camera and we're allowed to just let our minds go there.
That's a really good answer. No, it's a really good answer. I mean, it's true. It's about emotional truth rather than sometimes just the, following the story, which is also, it's interesting. I wanted to mention one other kind of, it's not really a scene, but it's something that we pulled out, which I think is really interesting. If you look closely in the baby, in the gender reveal party, you'll actually see the Dana character there. She's you kind of can't miss her because she has a cast on her foot. She's in there, but it was really strange because we introduced her character during the gender reveal party, and most people thought, well, this is a good one for you too, Paul. What did most people think?
Well, yeah, I mean, and this is the funny thing, it's you go out, you make a movie, you shoot it, you cut it together, and then people have to watch it, and they bring whatever they bring to it, and suddenly you go, oh, that isn't what I intended. So yeah, there's an entire thing early in the film where it's the party, and it's after that scene where Minnie and Paul kiss, and the doorbell rings, and he goes off, and then he goes and opens the door, and there's Dana, and we have a thing, and she has a cast on her leg and whatever. And audiences who saw it very early on thought they were brother and sister, which made the rest of the film really problematic. So, it's one of the things you do in a movie is you go, oh, okay, people talk about, oh, test screenings are bad or whatever. No, they're great. They're great. You want people to see the movie because you've worked so long on this movie in your head and with the actors and with the editor that you need somebody who has no idea what you just did to look at it and go, oh, brother and sister, wait, what? And then you can say, okay, let's trim back Dana in the front and very clearly introduce her and make it sort of work. So one of those weird little stories.
Yeah, but other than that, Paul, and just to finish up this question, I mean, I don't, and I was trying to rack my brain when I was answering this question today. I don't think we really pulled anything else out of significance. I mean, do you remember anything else that was trimmed that people were like, did you trim anything that was really like, important to the telling of the story? And I'm kind of like, well, if it was important, we probably tried really hard to keep it in. Do you remember anything?
No, not really. I mean, every scene is sort of a little bit longer in what we shot than what you see. There's a few lines here and there, but I mean, the version of the film that you see is like the tightest, leanest, telling the story, emotionally true version. Yeah, there's no more crazy like, oh, that scene. There's a couple scenes that actually interestingly came out of the movie and then came back in very late on before we premiered with Lifetime. So the scene in the bar with Aaron and Robert, where they're talking about, love them and leave them laughing, and then the scene with Minnie and Kathy where they're sort of on the kind of parallel scene. where they're on a deck and talking about, oh, he didn't do anything wrong. Those left a long time ago. They were gone, and then they came back because they're lovely scenes. But that's about it.
Yeah, that's my recollection too. So I'm going to ask a question of myself. This one is from Nina. Black and white picture was a picture of our baby, Norbert, and she also asked something else. Actually, somebody else asked. A couple people asked this. They wanted to know. Here's from Robin Klinger Leach, because I'm going to address these together. A few of us were wondering about the single balloon being a different color than the rest. Did this mean something special to you, Sean and Kiley? So, to talk a little bit about that memorial scene, yes, the picture of the baby in the memorial scene is of our son Norbert. It's it's there on that table below the balloons, and it's his cameo, which is just seemed appropriate to us. And then it's also his picture later in the film when. After they've gotten separated, when Maggie leaves that card for Aaron, and he opens it up, and it's a picture of baby Arthur. That's also Norbert. And then, secondly, to the balloon question, it's really interesting. That's taken right from our actual memorial service. Somehow, in the haze of the weeks that followed losing our son and planning the memorial service, I just had this idea. Since the sky is blue and we lost our son, that I would make one balloon be a different color than the rest. And I knew that just knowing color, the way the colors work, that eventually the blue balloons would fade into the blue of the sky, and all you'd see was one yellow balloon. And so that happened that day. We released them all, and all the blue balloons faded, but you could still see the yellow balloon for quite a while longer. And I thought that was, I don't know, it just seemed poetic in a way. So I guess the significance is, it represents the one child we lost, but it also talks about, it's a direct callback to the memorial service that we held, which was on those, not in the same place, but on those same cliffs overlooking the ocean, like it was for Maggie and Aaron. I'm going to go to this question for you, Kiley, because it's been asked time and time again, and we can just address it and get it over with, which is, it's been asked in so many ways, but basically did everything in the story really happen? Did your husband really have an affair, and was it hard to forgive him after he cheated? So I'm going to let you answer that one.
Yeah, everything in the movie did not happen. We like to say that the movie's based on our emotional truth. Maggie and Aaron are their own characters, and so sometimes things they do are not things that we do. The affair did not happen, but I don't think that that's that big of a deal. It's part of the story of the movie and the characters. And then everything that was associated with the baby was 100% accurate.
Thanks, honey. I know that's a big question for people, and so you're kind of getting a sense now that a lot of most of the important things are most of the important things in the film, all the important things around the loss of the baby, the expectations, the scenes with the doctors, the scenes in the hospital, having the rainbow baby, all that is absolutely true. But there are some things that in order to tell the emotion, in order to make it emotionally resonant and make the best movie we could, there were some things we added, and not all those characters existed either. They don't exist in real life. I mean, Kathy Baker doesn't play. That's not how Kiley's mom really is in real life. She's not like Kiley's mom is a very wonderful, lovely person and isn't falling down drunk. The Alfred character, the Robert character, is not my dad. My dad actually was incredibly sympathetic and loving about Norbert, and very understanding. So again, these were just dramatic devices we used. So I just wanted to, throw that out there. Hey, do you guys want to say anything else about the realness or unrealness of the characters?
Well, I think that some of the characters are blends of other people. Like two people blended together that are in our lives.
Yeah. Oh, and Kiley, somebody had a really great question. They said, do you have a Trish in your life? Kai, can you hear me?
Yeah, I just can hear myself echoing.
Oh, that's weird. Can you hear? I'll try muting myself. Sorry, guys. I'll mute myself when you talk. Here, how's that sound? Here. Okay, so the question is, do you have a Trish in your life?
I think that there's two friends that were my Trish while I went through this. And the person that was pregnant while I was pregnant was not one of my best friends. There was someone else, but but I had two people there that I could talk pretty openly with, but never. I don't think I really opened myself up to anybody, actually, totally. So that wasn't the question, but extra information, I guess.
Well, there was. I mean, if you're right. I mean, it was a lot of these characters are amalgams, and but it was Kiley's dear friends and family of ours. Kiley's cousin was pregnant at the same very similar time, and so it was. I mean, that there's a lot of truth in that. I'm going to keep muting myself after I ask these questions, guys, because I hear there's an echo. But Paul, here's a good question from Maria Savelli. She said, was this film meant to be on the big screen, and what was the experience like trying to get it there, if so?
So it's a really great question, and it's an interesting sort of insight into how independent film works. I often say that 20 years ago this would have been, a $20 million movie, but unfortunately Hollywood doesn't really make movies like this anymore, if you've noticed, and perhaps you have. So making a movie like this is very much a process of figuring out how to do it for very little money, finding that money, and then finding an avenue for its release. We definitely, when shooting it, thought about it as a theatrical film. That's definitely was our game plan, and we pursued that approach through film festivals, etc., attempting to get a theatrical release. And I have to say, in a strange way that we hadn't expected, fortunately, we did not get a theatrical release, which seems weird when that's what you're going for, but I'll explain why. Had this film gotten a theatrical release, here's what would have happened. It would have screened in 2 theaters in Los Angeles and New York. And if it did ridiculously well there, it would have expanded to 5 or 10 theaters in maybe 1 or 2 other cities. And probably at that point it would have stalled and ended, and maybe 5,000 people would have seen the film. And that's it. That's it. And that would be the end of Return to Zero. None of you would have heard of it. Nobody would have seen it. It wouldn't have done anything. We got incredibly fortunate that in the midst of trying to figure out what we were going to do with the film, that Lifetime stepped up to the plate and said, you know what, we love this film so much, we're going to make it our first global premiere. And so literally millions upon millions of people will see this. I was having a conversation with our executive producer, Kelly Call, about this a while ago, and he was kind of calculating in his head the minimum number of people in the United States, just the United States, who would see this film. And he said, over the course of 5 years, you're looking at 15 million people, something like that. What is that? That's a percentage of the entire population of the United States. That's like a couple percent, right? If 15 million people see your movie in a theater, that's $150 million that your movie just made. You are Transformers, right? So if the goal is, and it always has been, to get the maximum number of people to see this film, for it to make the biggest difference that it possibly can in people's lives, then this is the way to go. And I, again, applaud Lifetime and in their courage and in their faith in the film to say, you know what, this is a film that does deserve to be seen by as many people as humanly possible. So that's the long way to answer your question, but a little peek behind the curtain, and the reason why we could not be happier to be partnering with Lifetime in this film.
That's spot on, Paul. I couldn't have said it any better myself. I want to just I want to go to Kiley now. I'm going to try to rip through. We have so many questions. I just want to try to do some quick hits here and see if we can get through you know, a lot of these before we get towards the end of this. And Kiley, I want to ask you. This is from Jessica Hawkins. How have you addressed Norbert's life and loss with your two children? Do you discuss their older brother with them? Did you?
Yeah, I heard you. Yeah. I think that it was not until the film was made or being made that we really brought Norbert up to our oldest daughter, just because it was something that we didn't talk about at all. And our youngest one now is only 2, so he doesn't really understand what's going on. But I believe that through the film that, you know, Norbert, we're able to say his name in our house and even to my extended family, and it's not a taboo subject. And just bringing him to the dinner table has been a real blessing of this film.
Yeah, it has really brought it back to our whole, brought Norbert into our whole family, which is, it's amazing. Paul, here's a question from Elisanda Santiago. She wants to know if the film will have audio in Spanish or subtitles in Spanish, and if we would take that into consideration. This is just a question about like the film in different languages and maybe explaining how, you know, we're trying our best.
Yeah, I mean, okay, here's what I'll say. Despite the amazing fact that we have amazing partners in Lifetime, we remain on a real basic level an independent film, which, if you happen to tune into last night's Google Hangout, I sort of alluded to. It means it's Sean and me in a room trying to make it all work. So here's what I can tell you. I can tell you that Lifetime is aggressively getting the film out there all over the world, everywhere they can. They understand the importance of the film, and generally speaking, they are going to keep to the standards of a country for imported American films. So if you live in a country in which American films are generally dubbed or subtitled, they're going to do that. I can't speak to exactly when it's going to be coming to South America, but it's going to be soon. As far as our side of the street is concerned, we have the DVD, which is going to have a street date. It's going to be available to the public. You can pre-order it now. It's going to start shipping July 17th. That film is in English with closed captioning for the hearing impaired in English. We don't currently have other languages, only because it's Sean and me in a room, and it's prohibitively expensive for us to do that at this stage of the program. Having said that, we are going to continue to do everything we can to get it out to as many people as possible. So we are exploring every avenue, and of course, as I said, Lifetime is going to be getting it out there everywhere they can. And again, June 17th is when the DVD will start shipping. Okay, great. That's all I got.
That's great, Paul. No, thank you very much. And this is I'm going to ask a question of me. This is from Summer Dougherty. She said that Minnie said in an interview she was worried about my ability to act as the director and recreate scenes that were so real to my own experience. She said I did a great job. Thank you, Minnie. But she wanted to know if there's a scene I considered. Oh, I'm sorry. She wanted to know if there was a particular scene that was difficult for me personally to film. And I think there was a day that was difficult not only for me, but for everybody, for Paul, for Minnie, for Paul Edelstein, for the entire crew. And that was the day that we did Arthur's birth. I mean, the mood on the set that day was incredible. I've never been on a set like that. It was very reverent and very quiet, and it was just we created we tried to create as safe of a place as possible to do something that was so incredibly demanding of everybody, but especially of Minnie Driver and Paul Edelstein. I mean, all I can tell you is that I don't know that there could be a harder scene to film. I mean, maybe there is, but I can't imagine it right now. And when I looked back after the first take, where we were on Minnie, and I looked back, there were 60, 70 crew members up there because it was our last setup of the day, and they were all gone. They were all wet with tears, and everyone. So it was a really, I mean, I don't know if you have anything else to add to that day, Paul.
No, I mean, it was just, I felt like we were dwelling in kind of a sacred space, you know? It was an incredibly difficult, I mean, the crazy thing to think about is that was day 3 of the shoot, so we'd all barely gotten to know each other, and we threw everybody into this. And, you know, Sean always tells the story of looking at the monitor, watching what was going on, turning around and looking, and everyone from the makeup department to the grips, these crusty old grips and electricians, they're all just, you know, crying. I mean, there was such a unity of focus and just a spirituality to that moment that I will never forget.
Yeah, it was, and just to explain a little, I mean, this is getting into the maybe inside baseball of it all, but the reason that we, of a 19-day shoot, we did it on day 3 was because we really wanted Minnie and Paul to have that experience in their emotional memory banks in order to go through the rest of the film. So we wanted that to come up early, and I think they were really great. They were grateful that it was done on day 3, and they were through it, because everybody was terrified of shooting that scene. But it's the scene after which Paul and I looked at each other and we say, we've got a movie here. I mean, I think we both believed it after that night.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm gonna. Kylie, this one was addressed to me, but I think you're probably better at answering this. There were 2 questions. One was, somebody wants to know what you do for a living, and that dovetails nicely into this question from Lori Spraya-Steve, which said she wants to know what do we hope will be the biggest impact in the medical community in response to the film?
I'll answer the easy question first. What I do for a living, I'm an occupational therapist, and I work at the University of Southern California, the School of Occupational Therapy. I'm a faculty member there. And because of my occupational therapy background, what I'm really interested in is I'm interested in weaving together understanding how we take grief and transform it and weave it into our life stories, and how do we make meaning out of something so traumatic that happens to us, and also how by telling our stories, how that helps in the healing process. So that's kind of where I want to move forward from here. So I'm hoping that will be, you know, as I go forward, I can integrate that into my current life. And what do I hope from the medical community? I think I talked a lot about that before. I think it's educating medical professionals, healthcare professionals, how to better support families that are going through this. It's educating them, and also in the process providing them with resources, information resources, physical resources. Is there anything you want to add, Sean?
No. I mean, I think that's absolutely, no. You said everything I could say. I just also wanted to say that to that end, if folks go to the website, returntozerothemovie.com, you can also find a link for Attend the Retreat, which is what Kiley's going to begin putting together, retreats for bereaved parents. And I don't know if you want to add anything else about that right now, Kai, or if you want to do that on a separate hangout, but it's really, I know your heart's so incredibly in it, and it's really your passion, and you can say something or you cannot say something, and we can address it later.
No, well, we're on the topic. I'll just quickly say I'd like to hold retreats for bereaved parents. Right now, I'm focusing more on women. I have to figure out how to get the men part involved there, but really focusing on taking care of yourself. I felt that when I lost Norbert, I really wanted someone to come and take care of me and take care of everything. It was very, very difficult. So I want to create a safe, sacred place where you can be taken care of. I want a place where you can connect with other people who have been through this, and you can take off your mask and you can just be yourself, and also connect with your child. I think sometimes while wearing the mask in our everyday lives, we have to pretend that everything is fine, and so we sometimes, or I know, shut off that connection to my child in order to move on, but figuring out ways to open that up again, but still live wholeheartedly, having that in the same place. So if you're interested, I have a page on the Return to Zero website, and you can email me and I'll add you to a mailing list. And I haven't set the date for the next one, but I'm hoping to team up with different people across the country or the world. And every retreat might be different, which I think is really cool, depending on who I'm working with and what we're offering and what the theme is. So I think it's pretty exciting, and we'll see how it unveils itself.
Thanks, honey. So let's see. I had a question here. Paul, this is a great one for you. Good. Is people want to know what the title of that great song at the end of the movie is and who wrote it?
It's a really good song, right? It's called Forget the Fall. It's written and performed by Minnie Driver and Paul Edelstein and a group of musicians that they work with. And a very, very brief story behind it is in the process of making the film, Minnie and Paul got to know each other, and Paul would bring his guitar to set, and they would sing and talk about music. They're both incredibly talented musicians. And they were both, from the word go, incredibly committed to the film. And both had said separately that, hey, when this movie is done, anything that we can do to help the film, whatever it takes, we're 110% on board. And sometime around the third week of shooting, they got the idea into their heads to write a song for the film. And I said, guys, please go do it. So they said, fantastic, we want to do that. And we said, great, we are going to hold a slot in the film for your song. And when they came back with the song, when it was done, Forget the Fall, we said, actually, that's 2 slots. Not 1 slot, 2 slots. We're going to put you in the montage in the middle of the film, and we're going to put you over our credits at the end and the names of children that the film was dedicated to. So it's an amazingly powerful song, and I think it's great, and they are so talented. And I am just worlds of thankful that they loaned us their talents to do that. I will add that song is available along with all the music to the film. That song, a couple of the original songs, Mika Benyami does a song called Nothing Is Wrong, which is fantastic. We have a very fun version of Carol of the Bells, for those of you who've seen the film, that's done by a local heavy metal band here in Los Angeles. And then, of course, the amazing score by our amazing, 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 amazing composer, who we don't deserve, but we love him anyway, James Sale, who did an amazing job. So if that's anything that's interesting to you, please go to our website, returntozerothemovie.com, you'll see if you scroll down, there's a little link to buy the soundtrack. It's available on iTunes and a few of your other favorite online retailers. And you know, it's amazing music. You know, Minnie and Paul did just a tremendous job, and I think, you know, if you take the time to listen to the score as well, you'll realize, wow, James Sale, there's a talented guy. So a lot of really great people doing great stuff, and I just encourage you to check it out because I listen to it all the time myself. That's just me.
It's so great. Yeah, we got really lucky when it came to. We got lucky in so many ways on this movie, but yeah, music was definitely one of the highlights. I've got a question now for me from Brandy Broomhill, wanting to know if I would ever consider making another movie about child loss due to a common disorder where parents are forced into palliative care. I want to answer that by saying what I've promised my daughter, which is that I'm going to make a movie that she could actually watch and enjoy. So I have to say, I think the next one is going to be a comedy, because I owe Roxy and Norbert, no, sorry, Roxy and Cannon. God, that's a slip. I owe Roxy and Cannon a movie now. So, but I have to say, doing a film that's so important to so many people, man, I don't know that I'll ever do one that's more personal, but it certainly feels great to be able to take, you know, I know Paul feels this way too, to take our filmmaking skills and be able to actually make a difference in people's lives. It's amazing. Okay, and just a couple more questions. We're going to wrap up here. One more question for each of us. Kiley, how did you keep your cool? And this is from Becky Farrell. How did you keep your cool in the face of insensitive comments?
Well, the way I personally deal with things is probably not the best way to deal with them. I just ignore. I mean, I don't know if I ignore them, but I just kind of shut everybody out. I think I was in shock, so it kind of protected me, and I just had this look on my face, like deer in the headlights, like, did you really say that to me? But of course, I wouldn't have the courage to say that at the time because I was so damaged. I think I stayed in my home a lot. I didn't really interact with that many people, and yeah, I didn't really deal with it all that well, I must say. I mean, it's been a long time, and now I probably would have, looking back, if I went through it again, of course I would have done things differently, but you're doing the best that you can do, and you know, shock protects you, and I guess I should be grateful for that you know, that's all.
Yeah. Actually, I've got so many questions here for you, Kiley, but I know we're kind of running out of time. But I do want to ask you, gosh, honestly, there are a couple here, but I'm going to ask you one more because I know a lot of people feel so much kinship with you and what you know you physically and emotionally went through. This is from Darlene Rosa. She said that when she left the hospital without her baby, it was the hardest thing to do, and she wanted to know how you handled it. And I think that might dovetail into your last question too, about how you were during this whole time.
Yeah, sorry, I was waiting for Sean to mute himself, so I didn't hear myself echoing. I was in complete shock. And I think I said this in one of my interviews. When they told me that he did not have a heartbeat, I said, what am I supposed to do? Because there's no guidebook on how you're supposed to react. And when you're in shock, you're really just trying to survive. I was not a crier. I'm not really a huge crier. And so I was more numb. And I feel that personally for me, getting through the delivery, that a part of my self and my spirit, or actually most of my spirit, had to leave my body in order to get through the whole situation. And so I felt that after that, in the 6 months that followed, my spirit was not there, and I was in shock. And that was really how I survived that time. I tell people now that the first year is really the hardest, because you are dealing with first everything. That your baby was supposed to be there with you, the holidays and special events, and then the 1-year anniversary of your baby's birth, death. So my big thing is to tell people, one, that whatever you're feeling most of the time is completely normal, and to be really gentle on yourself, because it's a really hard time, and really you're just doing the best you can do. And if you feel like you need to talk to someone and go to therapy and get help, I think if you can find a really good person who gets grief, and especially infant loss, I think that can be very helpful. But another big thing for me is that it all depends when you're personally ready to deal with things. And different things really happen at different times, and so you can't rush it. And so, I think it's basically, for me, going back, is it's pure survival, and you're just really doing whatever you need to do to take one step after the next, next. But it was not a pretty picture back in the day. So, is that good?
It's amazing. I mean, that's amazing. You do such an amazing job. I have to say, do such an amazing job discussing this, honey. I'm just so impressed. I'm going to actually stick with you for another question or two, just because most of the rest of the questions are for you. Popular. But this is from Jamie Woods. Gosh, by the way, I apologize if I mess up some of your names here, guys. This is from Jamie Woods Kindernecht. She asks, are there any ideas on how to educate hospitals to do better with stillborns?
Personally, I don't know that much of what's going on, because before we started making this movie, we were not aware of anybody or anything that was going on that had to deal with stillbirth. So we were pretty out of it, and then we kind of went from 0 to 100 quite quickly in the last 3 years. I do know, I live in Los Angeles, and so the OC Walk to Remember is in Orange County, and they are doing medical healthcare education. I do know that, and I know a woman named Sari, except I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. She is in LA in the Valley, works with the Miss Foundation, and she does bereavement education in the hospitals. I don't know a lot of what's going on, and I love it. And Cherokee Ilse is also, she's Minnesota, Arizona. She has her book, Empty Arms, that she wrote, and I know that she goes around to hospitals and does medical bereavement education as well. It would be great if we can kind of somehow, I don't know how to do it, get people talking to each other and sharing their ideas. And if people have different nonprofits that exist, kind of just maybe learning from other people and sharing ideas. I think that would be really great.
I think you're right, honey. I mean, we're kind of at the dawn of this new phase in this community and in breaking the silence, and it's just about working together in all these different ways. But there are so many of us that are so passionate that I know we can do it. I just want to let everybody know we are doing a healing conversation. We're almost an hour into this after the premiere healing conversation with Sean Hanish, that's me, with my wife Kiley, and with producer Paul Jaconi-Biery, and I wanted to let you know we keep adding viewers, so we're going to continue on here for probably another 10 or 15 minutes. If you have any questions, or as long as questions keep coming in, if you have any questions, please go to our Facebook page, and there's a thread, and you can just ask a question, and we're going to get right to it. So as long as you guys are still interested, we'll keep going. And we can also do another one of these at another date. Just give us some feedback, because we're here to keep opening up the conversation. And I just want to give a shout out to all of our friends over at Healing Conversations, Jonathan, JP, Carrie, and Carly, who started this amazing place where we can all come together and have conversations. And I know it's just started, but it's something that I think is worth tuning into all these important conversations that are being had, and staying connected. So I'm going to take the pressure off you for a sec, Kiley, and go to a question on our website that we just got 11 minutes ago. This is from Elizabeth Cochran. So this one's for you, Paul. When will the full-length movie be available on the Lifetime website? I don't have cable, so couldn't watch on TV the other night. Can you speak to the streaming of it all?
Sure. So, and again, I'm going to apologize in advance that we don't have complete information, but Lifetime will be streaming the film on their VOD website, which is reachable through mylifetime.com. I don't know. We don't know what the schedule of that is, when that's going to occur. I assume that they're going to have a few more screenings on Lifetime, the network, prior to putting it up on the website. Here's what we do know. What we do know is that our DVD is ready for pre-order. You can pre-order it now through our website at returntozerothemovie.com, and excuse me, and the DVD begins shipping June 17th. Now, let me take a step back and just tell you informationally what's in the DVD. We have the entire film without, those of you who watched it on Lifetime, you know, the commercial breaks happen during your favorite part. It's slightly shorter for Lifetime. It's slightly edited for Lifetime. This is the full film, all strung together without commercial breaks. So there's that. Plus, we have 14 behind-the-scenes videos. We shared, I think, about 6 of them over the course of the last week. So you guys have gotten a taste of what there is. But there's a whole bunch of other behind-the-scenes shorts of the same amazing quality, with you know, discussing the visual style of the film, getting deep into the casting of the film, all sorts of issues related to the film. And then, on top of that, we have 5 amazing short films from the Return to Zero community. First and foremost that I have to talk about in this forum is Carrie and JP have a short film with us called Mia Lane, which is phenomenal. The Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep guys have an amazing film. Reconceiving Loss has a short film for us. Carly and her husband have an amazing film called Christian's Beach, which is just a powerhouse. And I'm forgetting one right now. It's going to come to me in just a second. It is, Sean's jumping in. No, Reconceiving Loss, I already said that. GAPS, of course, GAPS. GAPS, the global something for the prevention of prematurity and stillbirth. They have a really amazing short about what they do. So anyway, in conclusion, the DVD has the full film, a whole bunch of extras. We're ridiculously excited about it. This is the film as it was intended to be seen. Not that the way you see it on Lifetime isn't amazing, because we're incredibly thankful, but this is the film, plus all of these huge, huge bonuses. And it's available for pre-order now. Go to returntozerothemovie.com. It starts shipping June 17th. Not a hard sell, just want to let you know. Particularly those of you, look, those of you who are in places where you can't get it right now for whatever reason, be it geographically or you don't have cable, whatever it is, this is an avenue that is available right now. And if I can just like hashtag real talk for a second, anybody who like the internet is a big wild place, right? And people they put movies on the internet. And here's what I want to say, and I'm being really, really honest here. If I can just speak to you for a second, is this, if you find this movie online and you have the opportunity to download it, like illegally, this is not a faceless corporation. You are not stealing from Lifetime. You are literally stealing from Sean and Kiley, okay? The two people who sold a house in order to make this film for their son and for all of you. So, you know, I don't want to be like hugely like a downer here for a second, but like this is reality. Reality is you have these two people who suffered a loss and decided to turn it into something positive and sold their house and made a movie about their son and put it out there for everyone. And I think if you go online, you look at Twitter, you look at Facebook, people who've seen it, you know, who've experienced these kind of losses, it's amazing and true and honest, and we owe it to them to make sure that we're not stealing from them and that you know, they are made whole for making this movie. So I'm going to step back from that, but I'm just going to say that like the DVD is great and you should get it. So we are going to continue to work with Lifetime to get it everywhere around the world. If you're having a problem seeing it because you're in a place where it's not currently airing, we're going to continue to working to figure out when that's going to happen. In the meantime, know that the DVD is out there, and we're doing everything we can, and we just hope that you are continue to be with us on this journey. And that's all I got to say about
that. Thanks for saying that, Paul. I guess, you know, that was the honest truth. I mean, what Paul just said is the honest truth. Kiley and I put it all on the line for this, and thank you. I want to thank you now and in advance, and for all your support and for respecting that. That's why we've tried to put together for you an amazing DVD that's not just us, but from the entire community. And we wanted to pack it full of extras, so it's something really, really special. So thanks, Paul. Thanks for that.
Of course.
And okay, so now we're going to wrap it up. We're going to go around the horn one more time. One question apiece. And I am going to say, Kiley, do you and how often do you celebrate your angel baby?
Sorry, Roxy's right here, hovering. I would say that before the movie was made, I think Sean and I would spend his birthday as a special time between the two of us, and we would try to do something quietly special. That was that. I think now I feel that, you know, with the movie, that we're really spending a lot more time with him, but sharing him with the world, and then also that in my own exploration with my healing and also trying to help bring healing to other people, that he's definitely more in my life now. But I don't do a lot of special memorializing things, really. I just more feel him with me. Now I've allowed him to really come back in to my life more so than before. But yeah, and then we have a tree that's for him that we've dug up for like 4 times in every house we've lived in because we've moved a lot, and so we bring the tree with us, and we have a little statue and a little stone that my sister got made for us, and so we have a little sacred place outside.
Thanks, honey. Okay, as I said, we'll all do a quick wrap up at the end, but I'm this one's Paul. This one's for you. It's a question that came in online. It's from Elizabeth Petrocelli. She asks, "Do we have the numbers for how many people watched last night?" Great question.
We don't. But I will say this. Okay, and this has been a real education for for me because I'm a film guy. I like TV is a really interesting sort of world to me. Here's what I know. What I know is that we did pretty well last night. We will know more as time goes on. Couple things. Number one, the social media momentum that we've had with the film has been amazing. People talking about it online is great. Number two, if the film is re-airing where you are, you watching it now is great. Number three, if you've DVR'd the movie, watch it. There's this crazy thing where they count the number of people who've DVR'd the movie and then watched it within the following days. That helps us. Why does this matter? Okay. It matters because the bigger number that we get, the more people who have been counted to see it the first time it was shown or the first week that it's shown, the more times it'll get shown in the future. The more times the film will get promoted. The bigger chance that we all have to do what we've always wanted to do, which is to have this film seen by lots and lots and lots and lots of people and to break this silence. So what we need to do is we need to watch the film. If we've DVR'd the film, watch the film. We need to get on Facebook, continue to tell our friends to watch the film if it shows in their neighborhood or if they've got a DVR to watch the film, to keep talking about it. To go on the Lifetime Facebook page, when is it going to be showing next? When is it going to be shown in my country? When is it going to be shown, next? And keep that momentum going because the bigger the obvious audience for this film, the more chance that we have of keeping going and breaking the silence and making this a real thing. So it was an interesting experience last night because I realized that it's no longer in our hands. We no longer control it. You control it. You decide how big of an impact the film makes at this point. So I know it's a big ask, but everything that every one of you can do is going to be good. So there you go.
Well, I'm going to answer one last question, then we're going to do final comments here. I saw that a few other questions have come in on our Facebook page, so after this is done, we're going to move right over to our Facebook page, and I'll answer the questions that are on there. But I will answer. We'll do one more. This is from Christian Fitzgerald Zeta. She asks, "What made you decide you needed to tell this deeply personal story? Was there a trigger, a moment, a conversation?" And to be completely honest, it was a feeling that was gnawing away at me deep inside while I was making commercials, which were super enjoyable. I felt like, as a filmmaker, as a director and a writer, that there was something that I had to say, and we all have a story, and just as the years passed, I had this feeling that I really needed to make a movie, and this movie was the one, and that's why I took a sabbatical from commercials now for 3 years to just focus entirely on this film, and so it wasn't like an aha moment, but there were steps, and I'd have conversations with people that I really respected, screenwriters and directors, and it always came back to, there's a story there, just got to figure out how to tell it. So it was something, and I knew at the end of the day that there was no other film out there like this, and my wife and I felt so alone after our loss that we realized that maybe we had something to give back to everybody who's been through something like this or knows somebody who's been through something like this. So to now dovetail on what Paul just said, so now we need your help spreading the word about the movie now that you've seen it, for those of you who've seen it, because it's gonna come back on and repeats. It's gonna premiere in dozens and dozens of new countries. It's gonna come out on DVD. So thank you for that and all of your support this entire time. There is no movie without you. And I do want to say a couple more things about future conversations before we do our last run around, last conclusion here, and that is we are going to do a healing conversation in a few weeks on the eve of the DVD launch with all of the great people, Gaps, and Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, and Still Project, who did all these amazing extras on the DVD to give you a little taste of what's going to be on this in this really special DVD when you get it. So we're going to be doing that. If you guys are interested in us doing another one of these, just let us know on our Facebook page, or let Still Project know, or Healing Conversations know, and we'll set up another one. This has been terrific, and I know there are dozens more questions out there. We're at the 75-minute mark, so we're going to sign off. I do want to put up a plug for something that's really important that's coming up, and that is the Stillbirth Summit is coming up in Minneapolis, and that's going to be in late June. You can find out more about that on our pages. It's a big gathering, and it's a really important gathering for the community. It happens every other year. So that's coming up. And I think that's it for the public service announcements. Paul, do you want to say any last word?
Just, as always, thanks to everybody who's been, guiding us through this entire journey. It's been an incredibly long, incredibly difficult journey, but, as I said last night on the Hangout, we're here, and it's thanks to you. And we just ask that, your continued support throughout this process. It's been amazing, and we just hope that continues. And thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Kiley, do you want to have any last words, honey?
I also want to thank everybody for their support, and it's been such an honor to be John and I to be the people out there telling our story, speaking for everybody. It's very humbling. So thank you for your support, and I just really hope that everyone is feeling less alone and is able to bring this into your conversations with your family and friends, and that it is breaking the silence, and we're just excited to see what happens. So thank you.
Yeah, I really can't add anything to what's already been said other than thank you, and let's continue the conversation. Let's bring everybody together in this community to continue to echo the message that you are not alone. And together we're together. We're breaking the silence. I mean, well over 2 million, 3 million people have seen this film in the last 24 hours. So thank you for advocating for it. Thank you for telling your story, and thank you for everything you do for this community and for your children. All right, bye guys. Is the speed the same below as above? I know what I know is not enough. Here below, as we're spinning into dust, spinning into dust. Now I'll watch you when you sleep, say the grace of all the years, and the life that runs so deep and clear. Was it easy when was the winter cold? Do we always just forget the fall?